Hey, everybody, how's it going? Just checking in and seeing what everybody is up to on a Monday. Got some stories to read through. Hopefully the stream is doing all right. Hopefully everyone can see everything, hear everything. Been having some audio issues lately, so let me know if things are not coming in clear. But excited to be here with you guys on Monday. We're talking about, obviously, Figma IPO. We're talking about some AI tools, some things I've been using and doing. And so it seems like everything's working all right. We're just gonna mute a few things, jump in. Hey, let me know in the live stream if you have any questions, want to chat about anything. Would love to chat with you, answer your questions. Let's talk about the big news, obviously, which is this one, which is Figma's stock price as of today dropped. But I mean, the bigger thing is that Figma's in the game. Their IPO went up. You can buy the stock right now. You could be an owner of Fig or Figma. But I thought a couple of these articles were kind of interesting. This one from Silicon Angle is kind of interesting. Talking a little bit, not only about the Figma IPO, but it obviously was a big blockbuster moment. It was huge. They were there, New York Stock Exchange launching their IPO. Big news. You can buy now. But it had some interesting kind of conversations in this article about valuation, fairness, access. Let's check a few things, make sure that we are okay. Yeah, we're still okay. Audio's okay. Right on. Cool. So, it started out above 110 on day one. It peaked up at 144 bucks, but it's dropped down. I think currently right now it's trading at about 89 bucks per share, which is, I mean, dude, like that's big. That's super big for Figma, obviously. But this was kind of interesting about their stock. It said, if we all remember, Adobe tried to buy Figma, and Figma agreed to the acquisition of 20 billion. That means that I saw here earlier in the article. That means that their current valuation is higher than what the original offer was from Adobe. I wonder if there's going to be some fairness and access questions that arise because of this. What is the world's kind of like take on their new kind of like valuation? Is it fair? Whatever. I don't know. Things might come from it. But the bigger kind of piece here was about it's a case study in modern tech economy's evolving playbook. Let's see. They said that they dug into the numbers, the nuance, and narratives behind the Figma IPO from the venture capitalist windfalls. Blah blah blah. They examined the tension, and I love this part. It was a huge zoo inside the exchange. It was packed with Figma people. The mixture calculation on the economics for the demand put a lot of money in people's pockets. I read in some articles elsewhere that some of Figma's largest investors just walked away with massive paydays because of the IPO, which, again, I don't know how you feel about it. Good news, bad news, we're not really sure. It does feel like an IPO done right for sure. So New York Stock Exchange has good optics on it. Things seem to be going good. I would love to know, like you creatives out there, who's owning stock in Figma right now? Like, are you into that, or do you want to do that? Is that something you find interesting? There's this other article here over at CSNBC that as of today it dropped 27%, which is ordinary. It's standard for stocks to jump out of control in an IPO. If you remember, like the Coinbase IPO, it went really big and then it bottomed out like really fast to like more of a sustainable price. So kind of interesting. It dropped. It's sitting around 88 today at the end of Monday's trading. Let's see. It showed a renewed appetite for high growth technology companies, and I think it's important to bring up that I think this last config was like a really big deal for for Figma. And the if you really like stop and think about, this is my opinion, let me know what yours is. I could be wrong. What do I know? But that the IPO coming up was, in my opinion, a big reason for the big push in the last config, in the last Figma announcement, for things like Figma Draw, Figma Buzz, Figma Make. They wanted to have this multifaceted platform that could really start attacking. It's a little bit of a jab at Adobe, like, hey, when it comes to things like illustration, yeah, Figma's kind of, it's there, right? A lot of people had like moved off of things like Adobe Illustrator just because of the complexity of it. There's still going to be diehards out there, but guess what? There's still diehard Quark Express fans out there, and we see what's happening with that. So it's just a great drawing program, a great vector illustration program now with variable width, like strokes and all the stuff that you can do. Build your own brushes. It's really like jabbing a huge jab over at the Adobe folks. But then they put into play things like Figma Buzz and Figma Make and all the other tools. So they want it to be this like really well-rounded kind of platform. Obviously, AI is kind of like leading a big kind of like a push there with Figma Make, which we'll take here a look at here a little bit. Kind of interesting, kind of cool. Obviously, this is the announcement that came out on Figma's blog on July 30th when the IPO was happening, talking about $33 a share. That's where they kind of landed. By the end of the day, was trading for much more. It's a pretty short statement, not a lot of info there, but again, like it's currently trading at around 89 bucks per share, which is kind of interesting. So for me, the idea of a company like Figma as a creative that we as creatives have all known and loved and been using, that has been reaching outside of its initial use case. Right when Figma landed on the scene, it's kind of the sketch killer. It's for UI designers. It's for UX designers. It's for web designers. And now it's kind of for all designers, right? For marketing designers, for graphic designers, for illustrators, for branding and logo. And then now even pushing into things like Figma Buzz that allow you to like create things like really quickly on the fly, which again, I want to talk about because I'm really interested in your thoughts. So let me know if you have any thoughts there, because I would love to hear them in the chat. How are you feeling about Figma? How are you feeling about where it's at right now, what it's doing? That's kind of interesting as far as, like where it's still living. So, I mean, that's IPO news, Figma news. Like, are you buying? Are you trading? Are you into it? If you're not, who cares? Whatever, it's fine. But speaking of Figma and Figma Make, which there's a lot of tools out there. There's the lovables and the the cursors and the bolts, and all of them have made like a big mad dash. But Figma Make, actually, I've started to use it a little bit more lately. Really interesting, especially in my opinion. Yes, you can go the route where you want to build like MVPs and functional applications. I still personally think that that's not quite here yet. I still think that you could, but should you? It's that age-old Jurassic Park, right? You just kept asking that Jeff Goldblum line. You thought so much, could you? You didn't stop to ask if you should, right? So should you build an entire like MVP or application on one of these tools like Figma Make? I'm not really sure, but what I do find interesting is this use case. I was doing some client work recently, redesigning a little bit of a dashboard, and I was having a conversation with this client about this dashboard that we're building for them. And this dashboard is like really data heavy. Like, obviously, we're just doing like a transformation of their current application. And we started to get into a conversation about a modal, right? And the modal itself had a lot of client interaction back and forth as we discussed it. Like, how can we tweak it, change it, improve it, make it a better user experience? This is a design that's specifically for bookkeepers and accounting. So they like to be able to access a lot of information at once. He doesn't want things to be spaced out. He doesn't want you to have to tab in between things. So as I was looking at this, which is very much like comped off of something like a Notion or an Asana, started thinking in real time with him, well, what if we didn't do things like tab back and forth within this modal? What if all the information was in the modal and you just scrolled down and we got anchor linking and smart like active states on these as you link down? He went, that's really interesting. That could be really cool. I wonder what that would look like. So then I just kind of chucked it into Figma Make, and through about 26 prompts, I started building out the interface. And what's, of course, always great about this is you can grab individual frames here from Figma, come into Figma Make, you just paste your Figma frame directly there, and it all feels like it's under one roof, which is pretty nice, right? I don't have to think about exporting a JPEG. And yes, in some of the other platforms like the Bolts and the Lovables, I can now link a Figma prototype. But if I'm gonna, or a Figma like frame, but if I'm gonna do that, I mean, and this is probably why Figma did it, you might as well just do it. You're right here in Figma. Why not just stay in Figma and do it here? But what I thought was kind of interesting is I could load this up and skip the prototyping step completely. Like I went from static screens like the ones you just saw directly into Figma Make, prompted the user, the interface into existence. I still have a couple fixes, some icons here, some spacing there, whatever. But you can see here I'm getting like active states here and like hover states. I was able to prompt like sorting capabilities or functionality into existence. You can create new rows here. Instead of a modal, we ended up doing a slide out kind of panel here, very Asana-esque. And I can even do resizing of the panel here. But really quickly, that feature that my client's asking for, well, what if it all lived in one panel and you could just smart scroll down and highlight it? This would be a lot of noodling, a lot of work inside of Figma to make this happen. Why not just bring it into something like a Figma Make, show it here? Yes, does it have a code base attached to it? It sure does. It has style sheets, imports, all the components, the UI components you can see here, like things like accordion, TSX, and alerts, all the code base. Yes, it's being written. And I can see a use case. I could see a world where as a designer, as a creative, as a service provider, you know, if somebody needs that kickstart of the code base, well, they have it because I'm using something like Figma Make or the Bolt or Lovable or whatever. I think that's really cool. But for me right now, what I'm more excited about is the fact that I could prompt the functionality into existence and the interactions and have a pretty functional prototype here, even doing things where I can press escape on my keyboard, if my keyboard would work here, and maybe it can. And let's get back into, here we go. Click this. I can press up and down on my keyboard, and you can actually see the active states moving in the background here, which is pretty cool. Simply by pressing my up and down keys, you could also navigate them up here. Pretty cool functionality. But I can also press escape on my keyboard, and you get like actual escape functionality here. So it feels really interactive. It feels really good. Obviously, you do some basic stuff over here, like your accordions for your navigation and whatnot. And I could keep building this out. But again, I'm really excited about the idea of actually bypassing the noodling. I've talked to a lot of people, friends of mine in the design community, and I think with the amount of tools that are coming out right now in the design space, in the AI space, that you would, we would all be like really refreshed by this idea. Because prototyping, even though it's cool, and I've talked about prototyping, done prototyping, that's been part of my workflow and process with clients forever, because obviously it communicates so much better to a developer. But the question starts to become this, and ask this question with me: what workflow actually works better for communicating to developers? A prototype inside of a static Figma file, just pixels, that I'm then going up here and prototyping and saying, okay, on click, we're gonna do this, we're gonna click this thing, it's gonna go to a place and do a thing. Is that better, a click-through prototype, or is this better, where the developer can not only experience it, right, like actually test it, get key commands and interactions, but at the same time go jump into the code and have not just code snippets like in dev mode, but have a working prototype and a code base that they can start pulling from. I think prototyping is dead. That's my opinion. As long as the prompting, as long as you can get your prompting clean enough, and again, I think definitely, you know, something like Figma Make is very helpful because I can, like we said, already just use my Figma file here. I can also just drop down here and I can select individual elements. Like for instance, I come over here and I go, hey, you know, something's wrong, like the logo's not showing up here. I can open up this dialog here and do inline editing, which is great, like design editing. But I can also just do specific prompting for this area, like add a filter icon here and let the prompting do it. So again, I'm almost at this place where the prototype that I create here inside of a Figma Make doesn't need to be perfect, doesn't need to be the perfect design, because I have the perfect design over here. I have pixel perfection, but experiencing and feeling functionality over here inside of the Figma Make, in my opinion, is better than a prototype. And you can see here, like it's working everything out. It's refreshing my prototype, and boom, I have a filter icon inside, which is nice, right? So, my opinion, my hot take right now is that your traditional, or as we've known it, prototyping workflow of noodling things back and forth, even maybe something we've been doing the last year or two, which is not noodling 50 million screens, but instead creating smart components that have like interactions within them and using components and all this kind of stuff. All that stuff is great. But I think that this is probably the new way to prototype for me. That's my opinion. Leo Thomas says, whoa, would you be open to doing a Figma Make tutorial of sorts? Couldn't find any good videos on it. Absolutely. That's coming up very, very soon. I'm going to be doing some Figma Make stuff, especially over at Design Champs. If you're not a member of Design Champs, we have an entire series of courses and a course library that we're building out here. Figma Make, I think, is probably one of my next big courses in there. And again, it's like a couple bucks a month, and you get access to all the courses as we add to the library, which is really, really cool. So I think it's worthwhile because, again, like I said, Figma Make for building full-blown apps, maybe. Figma Make and the like of them, all of the apps out there, AI apps in the world, for prototyping things quickly and getting functionality to communicate to developers, heck yeah. Heck yeah, I'm there. I'm on board with that. So I think that's pretty cool. Those are some things that we definitely should be thinking about using AI for. Let's just do a fun something really quickly, if we could. Here's some other things that I've been using AI for. I actually hosted, and I'm going to be posting about this a little bit more, just this last weekend on Saturday, I hosted a Harry Potter themed murder mystery at my house with 12 of my friends, or there was 12 of us, 11 of my friends, where there was games and schemes and plots and a murder to solve. The whole thing was decorated, and we had a blast. We had a great time. 12 adults acting like kids, enjoying fantasy and Harry Potter. Where did it come from? Aha, now that starts to become a question. So I downloaded a pre-built box kit of a murder mystery that was like generic, like a murder inside of a mansion. And then I used AI to retheme the story to whatever theme that I liked. So I was using Claude and ChatGPT. I was going, hey, like make this in the Harry Potter universe. Therefore, if you see the word, knife, make it wand. If you see the word this, replace it with that. And then I imported this. I probably spent a little too much time on this, but I imported everything into Figma. And I actually grabbed, you can see here, like all of the original host guides. And there's no copyright issue here because I'm not selling this. This was just for me. And here's an interesting use case, right? AI should be and can be used just for you. So if you have an idea for an app, you could build an app just for you and it functions just for you. It doesn't have to work for anybody else. You don't have to think about selling it. If I want to create an experience like a murder mystery, I downloaded this murder mystery, imported all the PDFs into Figma, and then redesigned everything from my story and setting, right? And so everything was a murder now at a place called Wormwood Hollow, which was super fun. So we had an event schedule, all the key characters, all this stuff was just redesigned using Figma so I could print it out and have it. Then I built all of the different characters and rethemed all the characters, as you can see here. So instead of a doctor, I had a character called Healer Fenwick, and there's my buddy up there that I recreated some imagery and stuff for him. All of this was a real simple, hey, I like this story, but I want it tailored to me. And I think that's what AI could definitely start being. I forget where I heard this, but an interview somewhere. Like in 5 years from now, like Netflix is going to go away. You know why? Because we're depending on other people to write interesting stories. And there's enough interesting stories already in the world where instead of coming home and turning on Netflix and watching a story that somebody else wrote for me, I'm probably going to come home from a long day of work and say, I want to see myself in this kind of adventure. A should happen, then B should happen, then C should happen. Visualize it, write the story, put it all together, use my voice, do the whole thing, and then bring it together. And I want to watch this 15-minute episode with no commercials, no ad breaks, just for me. We're already kind of getting there because this is what I just experienced over the weekend, was transforming something using AI into it. And this was where I got really, really fun. I took images of all my friends and brought them into Midjourney and turned all of those into fun wizard shots. So here's a buddy of mine. and I brought his image in. How do you do that? Obviously, when you come up here, you start prompting, and then you basically grab any of the images. Like here's an image of myself, and I'm going to use that as my Omni reference, and then I need a style reference. So then I grabbed something like this image of this wizard right here, this young kind of cool wizard. Grabbed that, threw it in style reference, and said, a young, cool, whatever wizard. And I rethemed all of this uh, in the Harry Potter universe using all of my friends, right? No, I don't want to personalize right now. And then ChatGPT went into creating. I created a bunch of assets to like print and post around the workspace or around the game space in my house. And then I created an entire series of images like these, and I actually used 11 labs to build out an entire promo, like a commercial, which I'll play right now. You probably won't be able to hear it very well, but you'll hear some of it.
Nestled in the picturesque town of Hogsmeade, Wormwood Hollow is a centuries-old magical manor on the far side of town near the entrance road to Hogwarts. Once home to a rogue group of magical inventors expelled from Hogwarts, it's now reopening as a ministry-funded retreat and magical research center led by Ness Neal, a Slytherin-born entrepreneur with dubious ethics and a hunger for status. While the wizarding world awaits the hotel's grand opening, the townspeople of Hogsmeade have resentment. Ness is hoping to turn...
Anyways, I built this entire promo, and I just had 11 Labs narrate it for me. I took all my ChatGPT images, threw them into a free video editing software like DaVinci Resolve, put the music underneath it, and export the video out in like 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes tops. I sent this to my friends, and they were like, their minds were blown. They were like, this is something that's been created just for us. This is insane, right? Tashara says, I'm a beginner in UI UX and I want to learn Figma from you. Hey, what's going on, Tashara? I got lots of tutorials on this channel, as well as you can go over to Design Champs and learn more about Figma there. I have an entire course called 30-Day UI Designer. You can learn UI design there, but there's lots of great free resources on this channel and other channels if you want to learn. If you want to learn from me specifically, lots of free stuff here, lots of other more premium options over on Design Champs. You can go find that online. But I was able to create all of this using Midjourney, ChatGPT, and then it got really fun because I was able to take those images and then start to animate them. And so then what I did was you can kind of see it here in this shot here. I took all of those and framed an iPad and had a Harry Potter live newspaper thing running throughout, like inside all of these frames. So when people walked in, they experienced ChatGPT images built just for them, a video of them moving and playing. I created all these assets. And then I also created this, which was super fun. This was not in the box set that I downloaded. I just thought, you know what? I need a little bit of extra excitement. So what I did was I came into Framer and I used their new AI workshop feature. And I basically said, hey, create a slide puzzle for me. I want a 15-piece slide puzzle. Allow me to upload my own image, cut it up into the individual tiles, and then I should be able to customize it. So what did it give me? It gave me all these customizations down here where I could upload my image. I could actually tweak my puzzle and make it more or less complex. I have numbers on the puzzle. I could show and hide those. I had a timer that I could set for a certain amount of time, update the fonts. I created this, and then I actually posted this in my home in a frame and with a QR code, and I had users go to it and press go and try to solve the slide puzzle. And if they could solve the puzzle, then they could get a clue. But this was a program that I code a little bit. I used to code back in the day. It would have taken me a long time to actually build this out. And it would not have been worth it. I'll tell you that. I can come in here and actually see the code that was generated for my slide puzzle. It is right around, about 787 lines of code, not including all the import statements and the things that I would have had to brought into this. All the logic and functionality equated to this super dope like slide puzzle with a live timer running inside of it. So I used AI to create an experience. And again, this is what I'm really excited about for AI is that people can create their own experiences. Yes, could you create your own to-do list? Yes, could you create your own dashboard? Yes. Can we use it to prototype and bypass the noodling prototyping of old? I think it's the new prototyping. But we can also do kind of anything that our minds allow us to, right? The narration, the voice that you heard in the video, that's AI. It's my script that I wrote and had AI help me. It's narrated by AI. The images, the videos, the slide puzzle, everything was really tailored to my liking via AI, which I think is where the creativity really kind of where the rubber really meets the road for creativity right now. It's no longer, do I have to be the one pushing every pixel, doing every noodle, prototyping every interaction, or do I have it in my mind? And like my friend Dan Mall said to me one time, which blew my mind, all of us now have the capabilities of transitioning more into a creative director role. That creative director role is serious because I don't have to be the one pushing the pixels, not all the time, although I still love doing design work. We should still love doing design work. Don't give it up. Don't just go AI do it all for me, right? There are tools out there in the world that are fantastic. If you want to use Reloom to create wireframes and then kind of like theme your site out, it's a great tool. I love my friends over at Reloom. They're crushing it. It's a valuable product, but I'm never just going to produce a website in Reloom, punch it up and go, there you go, and try to sell it. That feels cheap. That's completely removing me out of the creative process. Instead, what I'd like to do is creative direct, tweak and change, and save all the hours of the pushel pixing, the pixel pushing, and the noodling. God, those are done. I'm tired. I just want a shirt that says, I'm done with noodling. Like, get it over. Like, get it out of here. So I'm really excited about the way that we can use AI right now. I think the bigger question for all of us is, are we using it correctly? Are we using it ethically? Are we using it responsibly? Are we doing all those things the right way? Because there's a right way and a wrong way, obviously, right? Where we still hold on to creative direction, creative control. We use our minds to problem solve and not necessarily this dumb creation right here, this very limiting creation. I can only work so fast like this. I can work a lot faster like this, using my mind, using my words even. So those are some thoughts. And I'm just jamming right now a bunch of thoughts on a Monday, hopefully trying to stir up some conversation and some thoughts in your head. As we kind of like wrap things up, there was a couple of interesting articles that I kind of I popped in on and read a little bit this week. This one was really interesting from UX Collective over on Medium about how incredible it is that there's still so many bad user experiences out there in 2025. And before I read through this article, the title caught me more than anything. And I think the reason the title caught me is because the amount of people that I talk to that think that there's not enough clients that we can actually bring value to as designers, that think AI has just bypassed us completely. That's not true. We still have the opportunity to solve problems, and there's still a bunch of problems out there. Look, he says, too long, don't read. You'd think that we have 30 plus years to learn and nail digital user experiences, right? You'd think that by now. Flawless experiences would be the rule and not the exception, right? Right? Disgracefully far from it. And I agree wholeheartedly with this article, because the amount of clients that I work with that, even though we've been doing user experience design, digital product design, fixing experience, and we have tried and true patterns. This just works well here. This just works good here. The reason this works good here is because this is what people expect, what people know. It's the best solution for the job, right? As we're designing sidebars, navigations, footers, buttons, components, because we're so in our little vacuum, our little experience that tells us, of course, everybody knows these things. It's not true. I've been talking to clients over this last year, and at sometimes even having to maybe wrestle with them a little bit and actually have to validate why the thing that everybody else does that they're not doing is good. The good user experience that's out there that they're going, ooh, I don't feel like I want to do that. I still have to sometimes wrestle with clients and say, why? Why don't you want to do it? We're far from every single thing out there being solved. As three recent experiences that almost had me throwing my laptop to the window showed me, it's at 2025, basic usability and UX failures are still everywhere. Here's the big ones. Number one, companies chronically underinvest in UX. Companies are chronically under investing in user experience. Now, here's what I will say. There is such a long history now of good user interface design that there's almost no excuse to have bad user interface. I will say that, right? Like there's enough of that out there. And I think that what AI is doing is threatening the middle to low range UI designer that only knows how to make a pretty picture. Definitely threatening there right now. But what it's not threatening is good user experience design. Why is this flow correct? Why is it incorrect? What's good about this? What's not a good about this? So those problems still exist in massive ways. Number two, there's too many UX professionals. They lack genuine expertise. Now let's just talk about this really quickly because this has been an issue ongoing for years. Is just because you design a website or you are interested in UI design doesn't make you a UX designer. And I feel like let's just let that marinate for a second. Just because you design websites, you've designed a couple, just because you went through a boot camp, just because you know how to make some components or use a tool like Figma doesn't mean necessarily that you have the experience to know what's a good decision, what's a bad decision, what's a good solution, what's a bad solution. Okay. So this is huge. There's the UX professionals out there that lack actual experience and the know-how of how to solve a problem is one of the reasons that we still have so many bad user experiences out there because everybody just assumes that they know without actually knowing. The only way that you can solve this is by just doing good work and doing the work and gaining the experience is by ripping things apart, putting them back together and understanding why certain patterns and flows in digital products work the way that they work. Why are they successful? It's asking those hard questions. Number three, even the talented UX folks have little structural power. Oof, that's a tough one. But the good news is that seasoned UX professionals now have the best opportunity yet to found businesses that truly differentiate on UX while others still want to leave the $1 trillion opportunity on the table. I do like this. I think this part of the article is probably one of the most interesting. We're not going to read the whole article because the too long don't read just does enough right there. But now is the time for those of you out there that are solid UX professionals that have the know-how, that have put in the work, the time, the energy to learn your craft, to understand how to get a user from A to B and C and D and E, and how to complete a flow and how to give them a good user experience. Now's the time with the tools like the things I've just shown you, like the bolts and the lovables, the Figma makes, like the Framer and Framer Workshop AIs that allow you to create something. Now is the time for you to start executing on any ideas that you have. It's idea time, creatives. It's time for you to start implementing ideas. And here, I'm just going to say, if you have an idea, if you're creative and you want to start executing on ideas and building out companies and products of your own, don't build, this is going to sound so awful, don't build products for the design community. There's a lot of people who run boating companies and rental businesses and electrician businesses that could use your know-how applied to the boring thing. Go watch a bunch of Cody Sanchez stuff on how boomers are getting out of the business and how the amount of people that are going to be sliding in and buying boomer businesses because they're aging out and don't know what to do with their businesses. They're aging out. People are going to start buying these businesses and they want to automate them with correct software to bring value. But that software doesn't exist because you and I won't make it because we want to build some sort of ultra massive blah, blah, blah tech thing instead of building a great SaaS solution for the boat rental company or the car detailing company or the electrician company. That's the gold rush right now, is figuring out how you can solve a problem using your know-how for those businesses. That's going to be the massive impact, I think, right now. So that's my thought. And you know what? We'll just end there because that's a lot. We've talked about Figma IPO. We've talked about Harry Potter murder mysteries using AI. We talked about Figma Make, the tools that are there. And really, the end of this live stream should be empowerment and encouragement for you and I to start creating, to start making. I would love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. You can always find me here on YouTube, on Twitter. And you can also always find me over here at designchamps.io. Got some interesting things coming for the rest of the year. We, of course, have my 30-day UI design bootcamp, but I'm also launching a 30-day UX design bootcamp as well as a freelance bootcamp. So if you want to learn how to run a business, that's going to be for you, and build your creative business, build that aspect of your life. That's going to be the thing for you. If you want to learn the UX tools, they're going to help you thrive in this new creative market, this new creative industry, because it is very much so new creative industry, then definitely check that out. Sign up, and so you can get announcements for that, because we got cool things coming. Also, spoiler alert, this channel is changing over the next couple of weeks. So if you've enjoyed my content, you will continue to enjoy content from me on this channel, but there will be big announcements and big changes and more content and more things, because I'm trying to reach as many creatives to make an impact on the creative industry as I possibly can. That's the season of life I'm in right now. Love you guys. Happy Monday. Keep designing, keep crushing it, keep doing your thing. And I'll be here for you when you need me, if you need me. Take care. Have a great week.